guests today are a patient and doctor from St. Petersburg, and they have a first of its kind story to tell here, a procedure with a 3D printed implant in your finger. And this is just amazing. We're going to show that finger here in just a second. Dr. Daniel Penello is our guest who did this implant, and also the patient here, Robert Smith. All right, Robert, I'm going to have you hold your finger up. We're going to show what we're talking about here, but tell us your background and the accident that happened here that led up to all of this.
Absolutely. So I'm an iron worker by trade, and I was out on a job and essentially had a beam come crashing down on the finger, and it got pinched between the beam and another object underneath, and it basically just shattered the finger. And I knew right away when it happened that it wasn't going to be good. It was not going to end well. So
crushed the bone, and then doctor, he comes to you, and what were the options, and what all happened leading up to the outcome here?
Well, initially, I hoped the finger would heal on its own. I've seen crush injuries before, and normally the body does a great job at creating a stable finger. But we waited and waited, and much of his bone disintegrated, so he was left with a very floppy finger, like a boiled hot dog, which really had no internal structural support. And then we had to put our thinking caps on. Traditionally, the answers would be live with it as best you can, use a splint when necessary, but the splint kind of impairs your feeling, or we could amputate the finger. But none of those options were acceptable to Mr. Smith.
Yeah, because you need your hands to do your job,
absolutely,
clearly.
Absolutely. And that, like as the doctor has said, those options were not even in the realm of possibility.
But yet, were you a little nervous to know? Okay, I'm gonna basically be the guinea pig on this new this new 3D printing implant.
Well, just to clarify for everyone, in the beginning, I did have mixed feelings about the entire thing. You know, on the one hand, I was very excited, enthusiastic, thrilled about the prospect of this new, 3D printing technology, and that I had been selected and was eligible to have this done, and to be the very first one to have this done. So, on the one hand, very excited. On the other hand, very kind of apprehensive, reluctant at that point, only because it's such a new technology, being the first one, obviously, and just concern over what might happen, possible complications, this and that.
Well, and doctor, what did, you had to go through, it wasn't as easy as just sew it in there and put it in. You had to go through a lot of...
Not at all. This is a big challenge. I actually got to play Tony Stark for like 5-6 months, creating something that had never been created before. So I worked closely with a team. It was not an individual effort. An entire team worked together and collaborated for hours and hours. The company that I collaborated with was Additive Orthopedics out of New Jersey, and they were introduced to me by my partner at Alexander Orthopedic Associates, Dr. Adam Perler, who did the first 3D printed partial ankle replacement about 2 years ago. So he made the introduction, and over 5 months we tried to solve this very, very unique problem. So they would create a digital implant, and over the computer, over the internet, I would do a digital surgical simulation. And we would work through it and identify challenges and shortfalls, redesign it back to the drawing board until we had the perfect prosthesis that was made for his unique situation.
All right, now, there's still some swelling that'll go down, but for the most part, I mean, considering you had crushed the bone and it was just hanging limp, what do you feel like now? I mean, is it pretty much fully functional?
It's unbelievable. Prior to having this done, just so you understand, there was basically loss of most of the bone in the tip of the finger. So it was, as I described to people, it was almost like jelly. Lack of stability, support. I could essentially move it in every direction. Since having the procedure done, the finger is, as you can see, I don't know if the camera can get this, but it's completely stable. I have support like I've never had before, like it was prior to the prior to the accident, and I have full function, full support, and also the feeling and sensation I had lost at the time of the accident. Since having this implant, since having this implant into my finger, I now have a feeling of sensation. Because
like if you need to grab something, you can feel it. Yeah.
Right, I do a lot of typing on my computer, and that involves applying pressure to the finger. Now that the implant is in place, I have feedback, and I have something pushing back, and now I have feeling like I didn't have before.
And you're talking even in your
So
job
it's
when you
not just
tighten up the bolts, you can do
right.
that now, and
So
that's
it's
gripping. And
yes, and so it's not just about the function, but it's also about a restoration of the feeling and sensation in the finger,
That's amazing.
which is absolutely amazing. And you know, like I said, I have full function and use as if it never happened. I'm able to grip things. You know, I could write with a.
Glad you were the
I could
guinea
write
pig
with a
then,
pen
right?
if I was left-handed. I'm sure. You know.
Where is 3D technology going? What's the benefit? What's the future here?
Well, it's been around for a while, but we're learning from many different industries, and all that data is coming to us. So 3D printing is here to stay, and in the future, not only will we be able to 3D print artificial implants, but biologic ones. That's where we're heading. So had he had this injury 5, 8 years in the future, perhaps I could have 3D printed a real bone with live cells. And I know they're working on 3D printing small livers, small hearts, and other tissues. So that's the future of 3D printing, in addition to cost savings and customization, which we can do now.
And you think of the people who are on organ wait lists and the potential here. I know it's ways down the road.
I'm
but,
excited. I'm very excited about it.
Well,
Yes.
that's. I'm so glad you shared, and I'm so glad you're healing and getting back to normal. Are you back to work yet, or is that still a ways
Not
down
yet,
the
but
road?
I'm very confident now, having this procedure done, that I'll be able to perform my job at full capacity, and to be able to do everything that I did before.
That's wonderful.
You know, lifting heavy objects, gripping, and it's just an unbelievable experience, and I couldn't be more grateful to not only the doctor, but to Additive I believe it's Additive Orthopedics.
That's right.
Right, for their amazing technology that allowed this to be possible.
Well, that is, it's looking good, and you're on the road to recovery, so that's good news, and the future looks very, very promising.
Yes,
in this
it does.
field,
We're making
Doctor.
history.
All right. Well, thank you both for sharing. I
Thank you
appreciate
so
it.
much.